I would like to present genetic counseling and its application in the clinic. Let me talk first about classification of genetic disorders. There are three types of genetic disorder. First one, chromosomal abnormality. There are two types of chromosomal abnormality, structural and also number of the chromosome. And then the next one is Mendelian disease. There are four types of Mendelian disease. It's autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked, and mitochondrial. And the last one is multifactorial disorder. The example like metabolic disease such as diabetes mellitus and other heart disease, and then neural tube defects such as anencephaly and spina bifida, and also other brain abnormality like meningocele and encephalocele. And then cleft can be cleft palate, cleft lip, and then Harris barrier. Let me show you the picture of the chromosome. This is the cell, and then the nucleus in the middle, and this is the chromosome, and then the DNA, and the part of the DNA is called a gene, and then the DNA consists of four types of base like T, A, C, and G. And then the chromosome abnormality, there are 7 types. I just show you 5 types of the chromosomal abnormality. This is translocation. The chromosome moves to another chromosome. Person with this chromosomal abnormality will be normal. And the second one is deletion. Part of the chromosome is missing. So the patient with this kind of abnormality will be abnormal. And the next one is inversion. So the chromosome just moves to another side. Person with this chromosomal abnormality will be normal. And then the next one is duplication. There are extra part of the chromosome come from the same chromosome. And person with this duplication will be abnormal. And then isochromosome, when the chromosome consists of only both P arm or both Q arm. This is an example of translocation between chromosome 11 to chromosome 14. This person will be normal because of the balanced translocation. So part of the chromosome just move here, but there is no gene missing. Next one. This is a translocation between chromosome 9 to chromosome 22. You see here chromosome 22 look shorter. Part of the 22 move to chromosome 9. This is very famous abnormality, usually called as Philadelphia chromosome, and quite common in the chronic myeloid leukemia. Next one, the chromosomal abnormality in number of the chromosome. Trisomy, when the chromosome consists of 3 chromosomes, and monosomy when only 1 chromosome, and sometimes we saw also extra copy of chromosomes such as in the malignancy. So 1 chromosome can be more than 2 or more than pair. Next one. This is one of the very common example. Patient with number of chromosomal abnormality is trisomy 21. So this patient has 21 chromosome 21 3. So very typical. In the old name, people usually call this as mongoloid or mongolism, because the face is very typical. You see the eyes is upslanting, and depressed nasal bridge here. Even they come from different countries, they have the same feature. And from the head, you will see also they have horizontal crisis, usually called as simian crisis. And the next one, this is the karyotype of the Down syndrome. You see there are 3 types of chromosomal abnormality, although they have the same clinical sign. Look at this here, they have almost similar, all of them are Indonesian, but the first one, they have trisomy 21, so they have 3 chromosome 21, and this one, they have translocation between chromosome 21 to chromosome 14. Look, this one is the abnormal one. And the next one is the chromosome 21 is 32, but one of it is translocated to the chromosome 21 too. So this one consists of 2 chromosome 21 plus the normal one, so trisomy 21. The next one. This is the example of Arabian Down syndrome. Yeah, they have the same also feature like other Down syndrome from different countries. And this is just joke. The tiger with Down syndrome, they have also depressed nasal bridge and also up-slanting eyes and also small nose. Next one. Another example of chromosome number abnormality, this is monosomy. So the chromosome X, this is karyotype of a female, should have 2 X chromosomes, but in this patient only has 1 X chromosome. And then this is another type of Turner syndrome, but this patient has 2 X chromosomes, but one of the X chromosomes consists of both Q arm. And this is the classic one with 45X karyotype. They have very typical of Pterygium coli, yeah? So extra skin in the neck, and also posterior low hairline. You see the hair come up until the neck, and then also widespread of nipples, so the nipple is bit far each other, and this is the same, yeah, with posterior low hairline. Next one. Now for the Mendelian inheritance. I already mentioned there are 4 types of Mendelian inheritance. The first one is autosomal recessive. You see this pedigree. So both parents has abnormal gene, so they carry the abnormal gene, but they are normal. But the child, because this child got abnormal gene from both parents, so he will be affected. Yeah, and typical for the autosomal recessive, usually the male or female can be affected, and usually only in the last generation. So the other generation no affected. Yeah, and related to consanguinity. So quite often in the autosomal recessive inheritance, they married between relative. Next one. This is one example of the autosomal recessive. It's congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Typical for congenital adrenal hyperplasia, the affected one is female. Usually come to the doctor for medical consultation because they have ambiguous genitalia. But for male, usually did not go to the doctor directly because the abnormality come up when they already grown up as precox puberty. Yeah, this. So in the congenital adrenal hyperplasia, they usually have karyotype 46XX, and the diagnosis with the hormonal measurement, especially for the secondary nitrogen but we can also do the gene testing for CIP21. This is the autosomal dominant. The difference between autosomal dominant and autosomal recessive, in this pedigree, you see that there is a multiple generations. So in every generation, they have affected. Look at this here. But male or female can be affected. Next one. This is one the common example. The neurodegenerative late onset autosomal dominant. Usually the patient will come to the doctor around 40 years old because of the abnormal gait, ataxia, and so the inheritance can be from the father, can be from the mother. Next one. And the next one, X-linked inheritance. There are two types of X-linked inheritance. Can be recessive, can be dominant. In dominant type, a male and female can be affected, but in recessive type, usually all affected are male. Yeah. Next one. This is one of the example of X-linked dominant. Yeah, the affected usually male, but in Fragile X syndrome, female can be also affected. The abnormality in the gene of FMR1 with expansion of promoter region of the CCG repeat, yeah, more than 200 will be affected. For more than 50 will be pre-mutation. Yeah. The last one of Mendelian inheritance is mitochondrial inheritance. The affected can be male, can be female, but the abnormal gene only inherited by the woman. Why? Because, you see this picture of the sperm. The mitochondria is actually in the tail of the sperm. When the fertilization happens, it's actually the tail will not go through to the zona pellucida of the oocyte. So all mitochondria from the male will not involve in making a baby. So all affected child must be get the mitochondria from the mother. Look at this here. Yeah, female and male can be affected, but only female inherit the abnormal gene to the next generation. For male, look at this. This is affected male, but all children will be normal. Next one. This is multifactorial disorders. People still believe that multifactorial disorder is mixed between genetic and also environmental factors. This is some of example. Neurologic defect, yeah, can be encephalic, anencephalic, can be spina bifida. Yeah. Even now, we found the genes methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase. So the discussion still in develop. The possible cause is maybe the folic acid intake is less or the mutation in the gene. And the next one is cleft and cleft palate. Also still in discussion. Some researchers found there is an abnormal gene in these cases, but some others say that nutrition influence or maybe intoxication influence to the cases with cleft. And the next one also hypospadias, mix between the possible gene mutation and also maybe other agent like estrogen disruptor. And the next one is metabolic. I already mentioned, can be diabetes, can be heart disease, also still in debate between gene and also environmental factor. Next one. Yeah. Next one. When we facing with genetic disease, we have to do genetic counseling with the patient. What is actually genetic counseling? It is the work to the patient, yeah, for explaining, answering, and advising to the patient. We usually use the tool like this book. So I think if you want to do genetic counseling, you should have this book. So you can explain to the patient, like in this picture, about pattern of inheritance, about the result of the genetic test, and also about the management of the disease. Next one. Yeah. What is actually the role of genetic counselor? Genetic counselor is working as a member of healthcare team, and then they providing information and support to the patient and identify family at risk, including cancer, and then investigate the problem and interpret information about the disorder or the result of the test, analyze inheritance pattern and risk of recurrence, and review available options with the family or individual, like for example, what they should do the next when they found that they carry the genetic disease. Next one. What should be done in the genetic counseling? The first one is gathering the information. You should do non-directive one. Non-directive one. So you should not tell directly to the patient what actually happened, and it takes about at least 30 minutes. You cannot be a hurry. You have to give time to the patient to talk about the disease. And then the first thing one is you have to draw the pedigree. So you have to ask about the family history from the family, and then after that we try to establish the diagnosis, and also understanding the medical aspect of the disorder, like the possible etiology, the natural history, the treatment, the prognosis, and also the burden of the disease. And also understanding the inheritance patterns, like the possible recurrent risk in the next generation or in another children. And also understanding the psychosocial impact of the information. When we give the counseling, usually the patient will be very depressed to hear the bad news. And then also understanding the concept of healthcare with appropriate culture, because different culture is different perception into the disease. And to do this, we need experience in the counseling technique. The first thing when you see the patient, you have to draw the pedigree. I show you these 3 different pedigree for autosomal recessive, autosomal dominant, and X-linked inheritance. You see here only the last generation affected, and then this year there are many affected in different generation. And then this one, the affected is all male. Usually X-linked is the affected male only. In the dominant type, the female can be affected. So you have to draw the pedigree, ask questions to the family about how many affected in the family, how many pregnancy losses, and how many also stillbirth or dead baby, and then also the possible carrier. This is one example of our clinic. We do the genetic counseling in the University Hospital. We have to do the extensive interview and identify the structure of each ethnic, because different ethnic may be different perception. And also religion, like in Indonesia we have 5 different religions, so they maybe have different perception to accept our information about the bad news. And also culture, and then also educational background. Maybe it's easier to talk with the patient with high educational background, but when it's more difficult to explain to the patient with low educational background. Physical examination. We have to do detailed examination, such as in the newborn with malformation, and also even aborted features and also stillbirth. And we have to take photograph of each part of the abnormality, and then we collect the specimen. Usually we collect the blood, but can be also placenta or blood from the placenta. And then if necessary, we do also autopsy, depend on the parent if they authorize to do the autopsy. Next one, we do from the sample, we will do the laboratory testing, yeah, such as cytogenetic, molecular genetic, but also other routine tests and hormonal, and also psychological examination, and then also if necessary, we do also pathologic anatomy biopsy. Next. The diagnosis, this is the most difficult one, yeah. Like we play around with the partial. We have to match between the physical examination and the laboratory research, and sometimes we cannot establish the diagnosis. Even we can maybe establish the inheritance patterns. Yeah. Some other maybe non-genetic like radiation or teratogenic agent exposure, and genetic also can be de novo, can be also inherited. So when the result comes, then we invite the patient, we have to explain about the result and the particular problem. Next. Okay. Now about cancer. You know that all cancer are genetic, but not all cancer are inherited. Yeah? There are three types of possible cause of cancer. The first one is hereditary, and the second is familial, and the last one is sporadic. The most common cancer is usually sporadic, and they get the cancer usually in the older life, but 5% can be hereditary, and they will get it in early life. Yeah? And the sign of this hereditary usually bilateral cancer, so the affected cancer, not only one, can be two organ, can be also both breast. Yeah, and the primary can be multiple, yeah, can be in the ovary and then in the ovarian, and then can be also multiple affected in the family. So in the family, more than one affected, and also multiple generation, like in autosomal recessive or autosomal dominant. And then the next one, for the familial one, a bit younger here, but most a bit younger but older than the hereditary one. So the familial one usually around maybe 40 years old. Yeah? And then the cases, more than one in the family, but not in its generation. And the next one is the sporadic one. It's usually only one affected in the family, and usually they get it when they really in the old age. Next one. You see the pedigree. This is the sporadic one. Yeah, they get breast cancer in 67 years old. And the next one, for the familial one, they get is younger than the sporadic one, 55 years old, and the other one in 50 years old. And you see not in every generation, yeah, this the first generation and this is the generation. And then the hereditary one, you see here, in the younger life, 40 years old, they get the breast cancer, and in every generation, so the pattern like autosomal dominant. And this is for the hereditary one. You can see here the sign is both breast and ovarian cancer in individual at any age. Can be young, can be old. And two or more breast cancer in a family, like this one. Yeah, two or more in the age, one of them in the age less than 50. And quite common in the Ashkenazi Jewish, yeah, because they encourage also for the consanguinity marriage. Yeah? And then there is a relative with BRCA mutation carrier, and then also they get breast cancer at age before 50 years old, and they also have ovarian cancer and also two primary breast cancer. So can be both breast cancer or breast and ovary. Yeah. This picture, I think everybody knows this picture, is quite famous. Yeah, Angelina Jolie. Yeah, why she become very famous? Yeah, she is film star, but she's famous because her decision to do the bilateral mastectomy. What happened with her? Look at this from this pedigree. She is actually carrier. She checked to the doctor. She actually carrier of BRCA1, and her mother is actually passed away because of breast cancer, and her auntie also passed away because of ovary cancer, and her grandmother actually passed away because of also breast cancer. And she do not want to suffer like her mother. She know that her mother was very sorrow, so she decided to do the bilateral mastectomy, including also ovarectomy. After the doctor said that she actually carry possibility 87% of risk to have breast cancer and 50% risk of ovarian cancer. Yeah, so when you see the patient with a positive mutation, like for example here in the breast cancer, BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutation, so you have to identify a blood relative at risk and offer genetic counseling and also testing. Yeah? And you do surveillance to the patient first, and then the next one you do also chemo prevention, and then also the last one depend on the patient and the family. They we just offer, and they sometimes decided to do the prophylactic surgery. Yeah, the other cancer is colorectal cancer, also quite common inherited cancer. So you will see that there is a multiple relatives, so more than one affected in the family, and one of them may be diagnosed at young age, before 50 years old, and also multiple generation. You can see here from the pedigree, this is the dominant type, so multiple generation has affected of cancer. Yeah. And there is other also possibility to have other cancer in the family. So you have to do family tracking to hereditary colorectal cancer. Yeah, you have to draw the pedigree also to know how many affected in the family. Yeah, so you have to ask for the family history. Yeah. And then evaluating the risk of having cancer in other family member. And then the next one, you have to do genetic counseling, and you have to tell how, when, and where to refer the patient for genetic services. So when you consider genetic referral in cancer, when you found 2 or more family members with colorectal cancer, at least one of them at age less than 50 years old, and 3 or more family members with colorectal cancer at any age, and patient with colon cancer before 40 years old, endometrial cancer and family history of colorectal cancer for less than 50 years old, and then person with more than one primary colorectal cancer or with both endometrial and colorectal cancer. Maybe you heard about Lynch syndrome. Lynch syndrome is cancer, familial cancer. This is part of the sign of the Lynch syndrome. So family or personal history of colorectal cancer in one or more first degree relative with hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer diagnosed before 50 years old. Who actually needs genetic counseling? A known genetic disorder like Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, and other known syndrome, and birth defect such as neurological defect, Claflin and Pellet, multiple congenital anomalies, intellectual disability, infertility, and repeated pregnancy loss, and then inherited cancer such as breast and colon cancer. So we call as a cancer risk. So person has risk of cancer, and And then medical information about degenerative disorder, yeah, such as cancer also, and genetic defect occurring frequently in special ethnic group, such as breast cancer in Ashkenazi Jews, and maybe sickle cell anemia in the African people, and thalassemia also quite common in Asian people, and also people has consanguinity merit. So thank you. This is my presentation. I hope see you sometime. Bye.